What has blue lips, super intense body armor, and tubes coming out of every which way? Well, if you said me in the hospital after trying to prove that knights can swim, you wouldn't be wrong. But if you said the X-Men villain Apocalypse, you'd be way more accurate. The internet's boyfriend, Oscar Isaac, portrays the iconic X-villain in X-Men Apocalypse, which hits theaters on May 27th. But apart from vague recollections of that one episode from X-Men the Animated Series from the 90s, most folks don't know a whole lot about him. So today on the Dan Cave, I'm gonna fix that by telling you everything you need to know about Apocalypse. Not only is Apocalypse one of the strongest and deadliest foes the X-Men have ever faced, but he's one of the very first mutants, period. Well, chronologically speaking. Created by Louise Simonson and Jackson Guise, Apocalypse made his first appearance in a shadowy cameo in 1986's X Factor number 5, and was later revealed to be the sinister puppet master behind the Alliance of Evil. But long before he was terrorizing X Factor and the X-Men, like 5,000 years before, Apocalypse was a wee little lad in the land of Aqaba, located in what is modern-day Jordan. Born with gross gray skin and blue lips, old baby Lips was abandoned and left for dead. That's some real shitty parenting. A group of desert-dwelling nomads called the Sandstormers took him in and raised him as their own. No, wrong Sandstorm, sorry. They gave him the name En Sabah Nur, which roughly translates to the first one, which is way cooler than 2015's most popular baby names of Liam, Noah, and Ethan. Ugh, Ethan. The tribe's philosophy was one that he would take to heart: survival of the fittest. Doesn't matter if you're human or mutant. Like a honey badger, Apocalypse don't give a shit. He just hates weakness with a fiery passion. And it just so happens that having incredible powers makes mutants a bit fitter than most. Unfortunately for the Sandstormers, they were not the fittest. They were actually murdered by the General Ozymandias, who served the Pharaoh Rama-Tut, who was secretly a time-traveling villain Kang the Conqueror and only pretending to be Pharaoh Rama-Tut to recruit Apocalypse to his cause. You know, that old chestnut. That old time-traveling, Pharaoh-impersonating chestnut. Hiding himself as a slave in Tut City, Nur became a rebel and was even killed by Ozymandias' agents. He got better though, thanks to his mutant ability of, immortality. Jesus. Believing himself to be the chosen savior of the people, Nur launched an attack on the Pharaoh, who then handed Nur's ass to him using future tech. Nur survived and tried to escape with Nefri, the sister of General Ozymandias with whom he was smitten, except she was not having any of it and rejected him outright due to his grotesque looks. Enraged at being banished to the friend zone, Nur flew into a fury, awakening his latent mutant abilities in the process, which both saved his life and helped him turn Ozymandias to stone, forcing Rama-Tut to flee. And as a result of this awakening, he gave himself a cool-ass new name: Apocalypse. Using Rama-Tut's technology, he took a series of super naps, putting himself in suspended animation to regenerate for long stretches of time, growing stronger every time he awoke. In between naps, he basically lived as a god figure for much of human history, siring countless children to worship him in a death cult called Clan Aqaba. To the ancient Egyptians, he was Set, god of storms and violence. In Persia, he was Sauru, the prince of demons. To the Aztecs, he was Unpronounceable, god of war and sacrifice. Basically, he would just sow death and destruction wherever he went and attempt to make the strong destroy the weak. During one awakening, he discovered a spaceship in Mongolia belonging to the Celestials, an ancient race of godlike aliens. He used the technology on the ship to enhance his abilities and to acquire his signature power armor. During this time, he was constantly plagued by an assassin known as the Traveler, who was later revealed to be Nathan Summers, aka Cable. During one encounter, the Traveler's cybernetic arm was ripped off, causing the techno-organic virus in his blood to mix with Apocalypse's blood. After that, the next time Apocalypse awoke, he had the power to control his body at a molecular level, shifting into whatever shapes and sizes he pleased, and it also granted him total control over the celestial ship. Basically, that little incident made him the most powerful person ever, so great work, Cable. Seriously, A+, you dingus. After dicking around during the Crusades in the 12th century, Apocalypse next appeared in London during the Victorian era in 1859. Using his celestial tech, he transformed British scientist Nathaniel Essex into Mr. Sinister. He commanded his new lackey to create a plague that would ravage the population of Earth, but Sinister was an even bigger bastard than his master and made the plague only attack Apocalypse instead, allowing the conveniently time-traveling Cyclops and Phoenix to defeat his big blue ass. A few decades later, though, Apocalypse saved some face by beating the shit out of Dracula. So stupid. Comics? Come on, comics. After battling the members of X Factor with the aforementioned Alliance of Evil, Apocalypse set out to recruit his 4 horsemen, a fearsome foursome of mega-powerful soldiers that would serve as his elite honor guard. The first lineup included the Morlock Plague as Pestilence, former soldier Abraham Lincoln Kiros as War, anorexic runaway Autumn Rolfson as Famine, and the X-Man Angel as Death, whose wings he replaced with razor-sharp techno-organic murder wings. Upgrade. Over the years, many characters would find themselves serving as horsemen, including the likes of Hulk, Caliban, Psylocke, Gambit, Wolverine, and many more. With these warriors by his side, Apocalypse would try time and time again to conquer the world, only to be foiled by the X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force, and pretty much any team with an X in front of it on countless occasions. At one point, Apocalypse learned that Mr. Sinister had a plan to create the ultimate warrior to destroy Apocalypse, Nathan Summers, the son of Cyclops and Jean Grey's clone, Madeline Pryor, who would then grow up to become Cable. So like any vainglorious mutant tyrant, Apocalypse kidnapped the baby and infected it with the techno-organic virus. To save the baby's life, they sent it to the future with a woman named Ascani to cure him of his illness. Now, this ultimately led to Nathan growing up in the future to become Cable, and had the unfortunate side effect of creating a weird murdery clone version of Cable named Strife, who would then go on to create the deadly Legacy virus. Even crazier is that this, in effect, ensured that Cable would help make Apocalypse the mega powerful mutant he grew up to be when Cable went back in time as the Traveler. And if it sounds convoluted, don't worry, it f***ing is. It's so convoluted. But here are a few more highlights nonetheless. He tried to absorb the powers of 12 of the strongest mutants on Earth, but ultimately was stopped by Cyclops sacrificing himself to save the day. In the wake of M-Day, which depowered 90% of the mutant population, he went to the UN and asked that 90% of humanity be murdered, even the scales. He was resurrected as a young clone by a weird cult called Clan Akabon, attempted to indoctrinate the boy, only to have the kid assassinated by the X-Force member Phantom X. Feeling pretty about killing a kid, Phantom X cloned the clone, raised him as his own to be a good little boy, calling himself En Sabah Nur, or Kid Apocalypse if you're nasty. The boy studied at the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning. Let's just say that things didn't go as planned, and you should read Axis for more. Sorry guys, comics are crazy. Oh, and if you want to know what would happen if everything just worked out for Apocalypse, just read the Age of Apocalypse storyline from 1995. Basically, Xavier gets murdered before he can form the X-Men, which leaves Apocalypse unchecked, and let's just say that gets real weird real quick. So, what can you expect from the movie version? Well, apart from Oscar Isaac's dulcet tones, you'll get a much less convoluted version of Apocalypse, one that's practically immortal, one that's obsessed with survival of the fittest, and one that finds himself diametrically opposed to the X-Men. Okay, to be honest, it's still pretty convoluted, but hey, it could be a lot worse. And that, my friends, is Apocalypse in a nutshell. And I'm positive that I left out a ton of stuff, but I had to, or else we'd be here for like 3 hours. So tell me, what are your favorite Apocalypse stories? What do you hope to see him do in this movie or future movies? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, give me an ancient thumbs up. So old. That's all for today's show. Tune in next time when we talk about the story of two kids that accidentally unleash a horde of world-class sushi chefs by playing a cursed board game, and Jumanjiro dreams of sushi. Until next time, keep on digging. Let's open up the old mailbag, shall we? At Nevage20 asks, do you think George Clooney ever used the batsuit nipple to juice a lime for a gin and tonic? Yes. At Lorinator asks, what do you expect from the new Star Trek That Old Space Chestnut TV series? Well, I expect the Enterprise to be devastated by a series of serial murders featuring scenes of delicious food. Seriously though, I expect a fun anthology series from the amazing Brian Fuller that will be the perfect way to kick off the next 50 years of Star Trek. At Smiley Leica asks, what's your favorite comic crossover? Well, I gotta give it up to the granddaddy of weirdo crossovers, Archie Meets the Punisher, the 1994 one-shot that brought Punisher to Riverdale hunting down a gunrunner that looks suspiciously like Archie. It also teased a Wolverine Jughead crossover, so I just got one question, bub. Where is it? Where is it? Tell me though, what's your favorite comic book crossover? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Special thanks to our buddies at Overwatch for sponsoring today's show. Overwatch is the new team-based shooter developed by Blizzard, where you can choose one of 21 heroes, each with their own extraordinary powers and abilities. So if you're looking to cycle through cyborg ninjas, tank transforming robots, futuristic gunslingers, and a genetically engineered genius gorilla every time you respawn, grab a copy of Overwatch, out now on Xbox One, PS4, and PC.